Hello and welcome to another edition of Discover Love Academy. I am Jacqueline Nichols and I am a professional matchmaker. I've brought together an extraordinary group, just amazing group of experts and coaches in a variety of fields. And we're here to support all of the individuals looking for their true love connection. And I'm especially excited to introduce you to Jamie, who has an amazing story to share about her own success in bringing beauty and skincare products to the market and to share with men and women with incredible grooming and really powerful tips, because obviously we know first impressions make everything. So Jamie, I would love to have you introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about why you wanted to become a part of Discover Love Academy and a little bit about what you do.
Sure. So I'm Jamie O'Neill, and I am the founder of Full Sugar Cosmetics. It's a full line of cruelty-free, paraben-free, talc-free cosmetics. And I also own a laser hair removal clinic in the Sellwood area. And I've been in the beauty industry for a little over 20 years now, and kind of help out with lots of different things with grooming and personal image consulting. Basically anything that has to do with the beauty aesthetic. That's what I do.
I like that. Very, very good. What got you into the industry and wanting to create such a wonderful line with so many things that we usually see in products you guys don't represent, which is so nice?
Yeah, so, the cosmetic part of things kind of started after being in the fashion industry, doing a lot of makeup artist work and stuff backstage for fashion shows. And when I moved to Portland, there wasn't a whole lot of, products out there that were really safe for everybody's skin types, allergies and things like that, that didn't have talc and paraben in them. And also things that would hold up for fashion shows. So, when you have 100 models doing a 4-day show, and they have to come in at like 10 a.m. to get their hair and makeup done, they still have to look amazing at 9 o'clock when the fashion show actually starts an hour late. So, so we don't have time to really run 100 more models back through makeup again. So I needed something that was going to stand up to the test and not, fade out, but that was still, really, really safe for the client to use. So that's kind of where the need came from. And then I worked on Full Sugar for a couple of years before I finally launched it in 2013.
Fantastic. I love it. And you've been in lots of magazines and internationally known. So what's powerful about your work is that, yes, you're based out of Portland, Oregon, Sellwood area. You service clients all over the place. People buy your products all over and enjoy all of your expertise. Isn't that right?
Yeah, I've shipped products to Ireland and all over Europe, and I've got stuff going to like Dubai and kind of everywhere.
Nice.
So it's really nice. I've been lucky to get such a good, word out about the product with all my own self-marketing. So not too bad.
Insane. That's a lot hard work, not just luck. That's for sure. And that's what really makes it nice, is that you truly understand the needs of having your makeup last. And this is something we've been bringing up at some of the different talks about when somebody goes in, even, it's different than doing a fashion show, but you go into work in the morning and you have a date after work. And by the end of work, your face is melted off and you don't even feel very good. Or men, having just way too much 5 o'clock shadow. And what do? Because you don't have time to go home and take a shower and redo everything. So those are really important tools to have. I'm really excited for us to talk about how to look your best to have success on your date and what are some of those initial steps. So kind of starting with that initial layer, skincare for men and women. Can you talk a little bit about this? Because it is something that I am very passionate about. And I notice, though, that when people don't take care of their skin, I even get comments when I match somebody, if they kind of go, well, the person just doesn't look like they, take good care of their skin. It's really aging, or they look older than they should be looking, or they have a lot of blemishes, like they just, there's a lack of balance in the skin. So can you talk a little bit about skincare and what's really important for us?
Yeah, I think, it's really important especially when you're meeting somebody for the first time, because, our appearance definitely says a lot about the type of people that we are, and it's important to consider all of that, when you're grooming for your first date.
Right.
You don't really want the person across from you sitting there thinking about like, okay, well, they're not taking care of themselves, or they don't care about the way they look, so why would they really care about me, or
exactly,
stuff like that. So, there's a few key like components that are kind of important, and you would think sometimes it would be, for most people, we would think of it to be a no-brainer sometimes, but honestly, when in the busy life that we lead, sometimes little things can kind of slip our minds,
right.
And, I usually start off with stuff about women, but, we don't pay enough attention to the men's grooming. So
right.
I think I wanted to just kind of highlight a few things for guys,
Perfect.
kind of some do's and some don'ts and stuff like that. For guys, they always get excited about a date, and I think first thing like, oh, let's go get a haircut, but it's not the best idea to show up with little pieces of hair stuck to your face. So we all know
super fresh haircut. Yes.
Super fresh haircut. Not only that, I mean, it's not the time you test out a new barber.
No.
For ladies, it's not the time to do makeup experiments. It's keep your makeup simple and in line with what you do every day. Don't overdo it.
Thank you for the reminder. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, it's like we get excited, we want to try new things. Like, oh, I saw this new smoky eye on Pinterest. I want to try to do that. And you'll spend more time fixing something that doesn't come out right. So just do a natural version of yourself, but making it show that you put a little effort into it, So, that's an option. And then for men and women, clean hair, come to your date with clean hair. Shampoo the morning of with a clarifying shampoo to remove any buildup that you might have stuck in there from the last week,
Right.
That works both ways. A woman doesn't want to be running her fingers through some greasy hair and overstyled products. So those are things to keep in mind.
So true. Duh. But, it's kind of funny where people think, oh, it's good today. It looks fine. And sometimes you wake up in the morning, your hair does look okay. But by the end of the day, no. But it is that extra
if you're going through the day, you're sweating, your sebaceous glands are active, and, oil produces and things like that. And so it's just good to, if you only have time when you get home from work to do one thing that's really important, wash and dry your hair.
Yeah, exactly. I like that.
Just make sure it's good and clean.
Yeah.
Another thing for men too is, a lot of guys have got to shave before, the date. The guys who do want to shave off their 5 o'clock shadow and stuff. So if you're going to speed through shaving, just be really careful and make sure that you're, using a lot of water with your razor, and that you're shaving with the grain. This is what a lot of guys don't understand. Shaving against the grain, you get ingrown hairs, you get those pieces that are going to bleed on you with a new razor especially. So, shave with the grain with a lot of water. That'll help reduce some of that.
Yeah, because there's nothing like that irritated. Or, of course, if they walk out with that little piece of toilet paper on their face because they're bleeding.
Absolutely. I was actually just going to talk about the toilet paper too, because that's not attractive when you show up for a guy and the guy's got, toilet paper stuck to his face from getting in a fight with his razor.
Right. Yeah, you do not want to fight your razor.
Another tip for ladies too is like, make sure your fingers and your toes are manicured. Guys too, clean the dirt out from under your nails. And women look at these things. We notice,
We totally notice. Absolutely. And then we go in and get just a little buff manicure even. It's not that they got to get polished. I remember one time getting my nails done and I look over and I see a guy getting a pedicure and the lady was going, do you want color? And he kind of looks across at, who's going to respond to him. Do I do color? I'm like, no, you're okay doing clear. If you want color, great. But if you have no idea, just do clear or do a buffing. You're okay. But it's nice.
Natural is always best. Like when in doubt, just go natural. And speaking of natural too, another thing for women is a lot of times women on a first date will decide that they want to give fake eyelashes a go. I do not recommend wearing fake lashes on your first date.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where if you're not used to them, they can be really heavy, they can irritate you, and the last thing you want to do is take focus away from your conversation with who you're there with by picking at your eyes all the time.
Right.
So,
And that would be so distracting and so not inviting. But it's that same thing. Like if you're wearing clothing that's too big, you know, if you just anything that's not fitting you right, and if you don't know how to wear fake lashes, same concept. Yeah, that doesn't sound like something you would wear for the first time. So good reminder, because people they want to almost overdo for the first impression, but then I often
because you get excited.
You're so excited.
And you don't think about it.
Right. But then I hear from the guys going, wow, she looked like she cared more about her makeup and her hair and, you know, her whole outfit than actually to know me. So it can kind of bounce backwards the wrong way.
Yeah, that's why, you know, it's like, do it in moderation. Don't get out of control. If you have a really great feature on your face, play that one feature up and just kind of go neutral with everything else, you know, pick your one thing that really shines. And, you know, for those guys who do have beards, it's really, really imperative that you have a good beard trimmer. And, you know, you want to have your beard trimmed up and looking great. And that way the girl's not sitting across from you focusing on the food that's collecting while in your mustache or something like that. So trimming your eyebrow hairs, that's another big thing. Some guys have ear hairs that they don't think about.
They totally
eyes, ears, nose, trim, you know.
And I'm really glad you're bringing that up because, you know, we are in the Northwest and the beards are everywhere.
It's popular.
It is
and
popular.
we're like, what, No Shave November right now? We're
right.
still in that,
Exactly. Totally got to watch out for that November. But that's the thing is,
if you have a full beard, trim your neckline. That's all you got to do. Just trim around there and make it look good.
Oh my gosh, every woman complains about the neckline. That is like, you know,
exactly
connecting from the chest up to the neck to the beard, like
divide
and conquer.
Separation there. There needs to be separation there, exactly. So a good rule of thumb is if you have a 2 centimeter cushion between your Adam's apple and your beard, that's a pretty good estimate of where to kind of trim it up, guys. Who have
I like
beards
that.
and want to rock those.
And then do you just say, should they get like the little buzzer for the nose and the ear hairs? And
just a little nose hair trimmer, one of those little, one of the little ones that you can just, you know, kind of shave, the little trimmers that we have out now. Some of them have little guards on it, so it prevents you from going too crazy with, for people who aren't really used to it. You don't want to take a big chunk out of your eyebrow either, you know.
Right.
So putting the guard on the trimmer and just kind of trimming it down. Or
that's so
if
true.
you don't have that, what I do is just kind of brush the hair up. You know, you could do it with a comb too if you don't have it. And then anything that goes above where your thicker line of your brow goes, just kind of trim that down slightly. And that's a pretty good rule.
Jumping off. And that's the thing. Like I remember one time I had a client walk in and he had a hair in the middle of his nose. And I was like, okay, hold on. And I talked to his girlfriend and I was like, does that bother you? Do you want me to talk to him about that? And it's like, we don't always see it. You know, our eyes aren't always great, but take some time, you know, flip the mirror and get a little more visibility. But there's nothing like talking to someone and you can see their nostril hairs dancing with their conversation. It's worth it to clean that up. It's a distraction.
When there's something wrong either way, we're going to stare at it, men and women. You know, it's the same thing. Like, if a woman has an eyelash falling off because the glue didn't stick on right. You know, the guy's going to stare at that. And it's the same way with, you know, not being trimmed up right. It's one of those things. So another important thing too is just for men and women both is to remember to moisturize your skin. Keep your skin looking healthy. We're getting into that season right now where things are, you know, kind of dry.
And a
lot of us can have that flaky skin, and, you know, that's another thing. So it's like if you put some effort into keeping your skin moisturized, a lot of people don't like to use really heavy stuff. So I recommend like a jojoba oil or a coconut oil. And coconut oil is great too because it's a natural antibacterial. It works really well. The organic one is the one that I prefer to use, but you know, it doesn't breed bacteria. It kind of helps out with that stuff and keeps you moisturized.
And it's so important getting that extra moisturizing.
Absolutely.
That's always been a big thing.
Your skin hydrated.
It is.
Drinking a lot of water. You know?
Well, and I mean, the aging's faster. Whenever I get a compliment and someone says that I look younger than they thought, I always respond with, well, I moisturize. And it is. It makes everything.
especially if you're a person who smokes or if you drink a little bit more. So it's really, really important when you're dehydrating yourself and your body that you're actually putting moisture back into it on a regular basis. And, you know, and puffy eyes and dark circles, stuff like that, if you just do like a little face mask or a little under eye cream or something just beforehand, just to kind of pep things up a little bit, that works really great too. Just to kind of keep your skin looking fresh. And guys, especially too, after shaving. After shaving, it's really important that you do use a moisturizer. You use a good aftershave, something that's not going to irritate your skin and cause you to have a rash or some type of bad breakout.
Now, what kind of things do you recommend for
oil?
The coconut oil for under the eye also, or?
Well, for under the eyes, I mean, some of the eyes can be a little bit delicate.
Yeah.
I like to use cucumber because it's pretty natural.
Right.
Even just leaving a cucumber on for a couple of minutes, you know. But there's a few products out there that are actually really great for tightening up the skin. At my spa, I use a brand called DermaQuest, and I absolutely love that. They have a 3D eye lifting cream that's amazing.
That's so important.
That's one of the things that I like to use too.
You look tired or depleted. If the under eye is puffy, that is one of the most distracting, just from, I mean, there's one thing genetically, but it's another thing if you just look like you're not feeling good. And so just that little extra firming kind of, it also wakes you up when you look in the mirror. You're like, okay, I can go, I'm good. It makes a big difference.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of different things that we can use that kind of soothe that puffiness. Calendula oil works really well for reducing puffiness, and primrose works really well for stuff like that, for inflammation. If, you know, if say the worst thing is the pre-date that pops up, you know. So,
it does. It's cruel. I think
that, you know, will calm that. Don't pick at it. Just the best thing is just kind of calm it down with some primrose, and then don't pick it.
That's good. I'm thinking all of a sudden our listeners are going, now hold on, what was that again? So how do you get primrose? Where would you find something like that?
There's a company in Portland that I like to use for essential oils and stuff. They're called Liberty Naturals. Mm-hmm. I also carry a brand at my spa called Nala. Nala is an organic skincare line. You can buy it online as well. They have a primrose evening serum. They have primrose calming serums. But actually, I believe even Trader Joe's and stuff has products that are made with those different things. Natural. I kind of tend to go towards the more natural stuff.
Right.
So
you're really good at that.
You know, yeah, there's a lot of really great things for there too. That's not too heavy.
That is so true. Like, you need those little SOS kit that when all of a sudden you're so excited about that date, you didn't sleep well, or you had a really crazy work day, and now you want to be fresh. You know, that feeling of like, oh, great. What are some of those essentials you have with you to kind of revive when you leave from boardroom to the big date?
Yeah, I mean, I like to carry a little grooming kit in my purse that has some nail clippers, trimmers, a lip gloss, something to keep, or you know, chapstick, especially this time of year.
Yeah, the men need to have that.
Fill up a little vial with jojoba oil or coconut oil for a quick moisturizing effect. You know, if for some reason you don't have time to wash your hair, I hope that you would do it in the morning, but dry shampoo is great. I like to keep the dry shampoo in my purse, and anytime I'm feeling like I'm sweating more through the day, just apply a little bit of that, and that kind of helps suck the extra oil into it.
That's right. I forget about dry shampoo. Yeah, and that just kind of,
it's one of the best inventions ever.
I remember using it back when I would go to, like, you know, Girl Scout camp for the week and be like, how do I go a week without washing my hair? But I haven't really used it since, but friends have brought it up, and it's obviously gotten much better over the years. So I love that you bring it up again. It's a good reminder that people need that, because it's just so important to have fresh hair. Exactly. Nobody wants to kind of snuggle up with you when they're like, ew.
Right. And, you know, speaking of smells, here for guys and girls, this is really important in my opinion, is less is more when it comes to cologne.
Thank you. Yes, I agree.
Yeah. And because you never know if your date's going to have an allergy to something
Right.
either. So a spritz
That-
into the air and then walk into it
Okay.
is the best way to do it instead of applying it directly to the skin. A lot of people like to put it on their neck and then on their shirt and then on their wrist and
Right.
here and there and everywhere. And the next thing you know, like you're overpowering when you walk in the room.
It
So,
is. You're
yeah,
so
for ladies,
spot
a
on.
great thing is spray a little bit of perfume into your hair, but do it from a distance.
Okay.
And then it kind of gives like a subtle scent.
Right.
And if he gets close to you, it's an intriguing, nice little soft scent
Yeah.
instead of something really overpowering. And same thing for guys. Just spritz it in front of you and then kind of step into it. Let it fall on you. And
I like that.
you don't want to just keep spraying it until you smell it on yourself.
Well,
Because
everybody has
trust
a
me, we
different
can smell it out of the distance.
smell. There's nothing like walking down the street and you can like taste the person that is going past
Right.
you because they have so much cologne. And I'm super incredibly sensitive. I mean, there's stores I can't even walk into. So I know I'm hypersensitive on smell. So I have a lot of places my friends walk in ahead of me. I can't do candles. So people don't realize though that as soon as somebody has got that, then they're going to be getting a headache, they're going to be distracted, they're going to be tasting, and then there's no natural endorphins coming up. Everything's getting blocked.
Right.
So that is such a valuable point. I'm like, all of our listeners that put on too much, please listen to what Jamie's saying. She is spot on.
Yeah, back it down.
Yeah, back
it's nice
it
when you're actually next to someone and you can smell a nice subtle
yeah,
scent.
that's what's so nice. You know, just that little bit.
It just makes you kind of want to get a little bit closer sometimes.
Exactly. Now, do you have any favorite colognes or perfumes, or do you guys sell them at your place? Because this is a question I get asked a lot of what should people wear? Because there is some that, I mean, I have walked right up to somebody that I'm not even in conversation with, and I'm like, you smell yummy. And there are just certain colognes, and it's like, oh, I wish I had written down what that one was. And obviously people's body chemistry triggers. But are there some popular ones that you kind of lean towards or things to look for? Because that is hard to know. I mean, when you're trying to smell it off your own skin, if it smells right, until somebody says, oh my gosh, you smell yummy, it's hard to know if you're doing the right thing because some of them are, oh, so bad.
Yeah, and cologne and perfume is really tricky because everything smells different on every person.
Exactly.
I've had perfumes that I love the smell of it on my girlfriends, but I put it on my skin and it just doesn't smell very good.
Right.
And the same thing. So I don't sell any colognes or anything, but what I do is I do recommend a couple that this is only my personal opinion. So, I mean, I've been walking down the street and get a whiff of a guy's cologne and say, oh my goodness, and I will stop and ask them what it is. So some of the big ones are the Kenneth Cole Black is a really popular one. The Cool Water is still pretty popular, actually. And then there's like the Burberry. That one smells pretty good, the Versace one. For women, it just kind of depends if you like more of a fruity scent. The DKNY Be Delicious ones are really good. The green bottle is my favorite. The Burberry Brit for women is amazing. I like the Gucci Guilty for both men and women. That's a great scent. And it's not super overpowering if you just put a little bit on.
Right.
There's a lot of really, really great brands out there, but, it's just kind of all about what it smells like on you. So with shopping for cologne, I would not do that before a date, but definitely get an idea of what smells the best on you. Don't be afraid to ask opinions, spray it a little bit and make sure that you like the scent of it. And if it's not overpowering, just don't, again, don't use too much, and you really can't go wrong. And you'll slowly figure out what, if the more musky scents or the more fruity scents or, things like that, you'll kind of get your own style over time, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And is there a trick to kind of, I know a lot of times they like spray it on the paper and people will spray, do it on their wrists. And then obviously
definitely don't want to test a whole bunch of cologne on your body. So what I recommend is I spray it on the paper first and give it a minute. And between each different cologne or perfume that you're sampling, they have those coffee beans there for a reason. The coffee beans kind of reintroduces your palate to the next scent. And I wouldn't try over 3 in one setting. If you start to do that, too many, you get a little bit of a migraine from it.
It is overwhelming.
And don't do over 3 of them.
Okay, perfect. That's what I was thinking. And so that makes a lot of sense.
And then once you find something that you actually really like the scent of, try only one of those 3 on your skin. Just see what it smells like.
Right.
And then next time, save the next one on your list. You don't, once you start adding too much, it all kind of blends together, and then you don't know what you're smelling anymore.
Exactly. It's like, okay, overload, sensory. And then there's obviously other scents if you're at a store. So that makes a big difference.
Right.
Some of them let you take home little travel vials and stuff like that. But it is important to kind of, create that signature and do it soft enough. But if you don't get any compliments on it, eventually you might try something different. So
right, exactly. If you've been rocking the same cologne since 1987 and nobody's said how much they like it, it might be time to branch out and find something new.
Exactly. You don't want to just smell like Tide detergent. It's like not just softener. It is good to have a little bit, but it is so important because people are so sensitive to smells. And when you're out, you're enjoying the smell of the yummy food that was just served or the wine. You don't want to have so many competing scents. Just enough that kind of lures the person closer in a good way, in a positive way. Yeah. And, when you're giving that hug, there's just that scent trigger because scents are so much of an emotional trigger when done the right way. And if it is done the wrong way, it will pull that date away. So that is really powerful.
Right.
Glad you brought that up. That is huge.
And another huge thing in my kit that's a must-have is, especially for a busy work person, is a lint roller.
Oh,
you want to have a lint roller because especially if you're wearing darker colors, anything. So I have this really cool thing that I ended up getting in a subscription box a while back, and it's called Flint. And it's a little twisty roller thing that kind of goes back down into itself. It's great. So you don't have to worry about, with those other ones, you peel it off and then everything in the sun sticks to it because there's no cover for it. This one actually has like a built-in cover. It's really cool. And you just twist the bottom of it and it pops up like a lipstick tube.
Nice.
So like a chapstick or lipstick, you twist it. You can kind of buy them all over the place. I've been seeing them everywhere now, but I recommend having that or something, a version of one in your emergency kit.
And it is. You can even be in the car quickly just kind of brushing away because you might not realize your dog, your cat, was shedding or, sometimes you hug someone and they're shedding.
Or lint from the laundry or other people that you come into contact with through the day if you don't have time. So,
exactly.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and that makes me think of the people that have dry scalp when you're talking about all the shampooing and stuff. Sometimes you hug somebody and you get a little bit of their dander just because of the dry scalp issue. And so it's just a little, fluff it up a little bit. So I love having that in the kit. That sounds really smart.
And when you just mentioned the dryness again too, is lotion and moisturizer are your friend. So not just your face, but your arms, anything, any parts of your body that you're going to have exposed during a date.
Right.
Keep it moist. Keep it moisturized so that you're not rubbing off.
Yeah. You don't want to leave any of your dead skin on somebody, but also you want them to want to.
And that's another thing. Exfoliating is very important too. So if you're in the shower and you're getting ready for your date, use a sugar scrub or a salt scrub or something like that to exfoliate all your dead skin off. And you should be doing that at least once a week anyways.
Right.
Especially with your faces because it will kind of get rid of some of those dead skin cells and help with your cellular turnover.
Yay.
So those are all good things to do as well.
So important. I'm so glad you bring that up because that is such, it's like, women are looking for the guy with the super soft hands, but at the same time, it's nice if, there's a little softening on there and it's not so uncomfortable to touch. But at the same time, a lot of women, their hands are so dry, like the back of their hand, and it just ages so fast. And so just that little extra suppleness to the hand is going to be so much more attractive because we talk with our hands. We're interacting with our hands on a date. It's really important just having a little travel lotion. Do you guys have travel size things for your business? Or
I do carry some travel size products. Absolutely. I have some travel size skincare, I have a lot of different things that we carry in our DermaQuest line too. Little things to pep up under the eyes and stuff like that.
A little extra.
Everything is also like airport friendly, you know, so you can throw it in a bag if you
That's
happen
important.
to go on an out of town
Spontaneous
date or something
yeah.
like that. Yeah,
I love
going
it.
on a little trip or something, you know, airplane size is great. So
Right. Now on the skincare part, what is like the routine you were saying? Okay, you want to exfoliate the face and the body at least once a week. You know, are you saying like, is there a cleanser that's a good way to kind of go? Are there certain ways to cleanse? I know like when I used to product, it was
so
always
there's actually,
upward stroke.
you know, we all have different types of skin, you know,
Mm-hmm.
so for oily skin, you want to have an oil controlling cleanser or antibacterial cleanser. For sensitive skin, there's just a essential moisturizer. Basically, there's a lot of different products out there that target each skin type. So if you are concerned with aging, there's anti-aging cleansers. So you want to kind of use products that are geared towards the type of skin that you have. And the big things are cleansing, exfoliating, definitely hydrating. And a lot of people, you should use a little bit of toner because that does kind of help restore your pH back to its natural levels.
Right.
And so that's important as well. And keeping our skin balanced. And even if you have acne prone or oily skin, it's a big, big thing to make sure that you're still moisturizing. Just use a lightweight moisturizer. Or the coconut oil works really great because if you dry your skin out too much with too much salicylic or benzoyl peroxide, over-the-counter things that, you know, you're using that to get rid of acne and it's over drying your skin. Proactive is another one that tends to really over dry.
Absolutely, that's what I've heard.
And then it makes your sebaceous glands produce more oil because your body thinks that you're drying out. So you could actually cause even more issues by not moisturizing. So it's really important. Moisturizing. Sunblock is very important. SPF at least 30.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Taking care of your skin for, you know, through the summer and the vacations and everything that we did to ourselves in our 20s is coming up in our 30s and 40s and beyond. So,
exactly.
You know, taking care of your body is really important. And, you know, there's things that we can do for that. There's photofacials, there's, you know, with laser, you know, there's pigmentation removal, there's chemical peels, there's all sorts of things that you can do to kind of help, you know, reduce the effects of free radicals and aging and, you know, acne and all that. So
absolutely.
And that's kind of what I do in my office.
Yeah, deeper treatments and more specialized. And that's what's important is that, you know, I get comments all the time when people are meeting new individuals and they'll say, you know, wow, you can really tell that person takes care of themselves. Self-care is so important, but it shows in the long term. Like you can tell if somebody didn't take care of themselves. So doing these steps now is important for your date, but it's also important for your own, you know, physical longevity, and taking care of those extra steps is huge. So I'm glad that you guys
have another thing that goes back with that is that, you know, when we're with someone who takes care of themselves, it also encourages us to be more, you know, remembering that we need to also take care of ourselves. And it's really easy in the lives that we lead to kind of let ourselves go sometimes. And, you know, that's what causes issues down the road is not keeping yourself the way that you were at that first date, let's say. You know, obviously we age and obviously, you know, life has its moments, but we can definitely take care of the skin we're in because it's all we have.
Exactly. And you know, what I have really seen with that being said is that extra, when you take care of yourself on, you know, that somebody sees you show up all nicely put together, they want to spend more time with you because it shows you care enough about you. So then they're more curious. So it has a positive ripple effect. Plus you're calmer, you're more relaxed on the date than if you're trying to adjust your eyelashes or you know that your nostril hairs are dancing back and forth. I mean, it's just a little bit of extra. It pays off so you can be focused on the date and you can be in that place that makes you more inviting. I'm sure
Exactly.
all of our listeners are like, oh my God, I totally remember that day that I tried that on a date, or, you know, things that backfire in such a weird way. So what are some of the
Yes.
tips, though, that you give to women to kind of play up their features? Like, what are some ways for them to just, you know, feel a little extra pop without overdoing it? What are some tips on just a little more play up?
Well, I personally recommend for my clients not to go too heavy with a heavy foundation. So I would use something that's going to still show the beautiful you underneath, that's not too thick. I prefer BB cream. BB cream works really great to even out the skin tone. It helps correct your skin over time too. So that's another great thing with that. It has a nice coverage. It's a buildable as well. So, you know, it gives that nice sheer sun-kissed glow at the end. And then, you know, keeping your lips moisturized and not cracked and peeling. You know, who wants to kiss a mouth that's
Yeah, when people look like their lips are cracking or dry.
Yeah,
Around
like
the
they're all
edges.
dried out. So
so not kissable.
Yeah, playing up that. If you have a certain feature that you love, like I said earlier, play up that feature. If you've got great eyes, you know, play up your eyes. But if you're gonna do one, you can't do the other. So, you know, don't go dramatic eyes and dramatic lips, because then they don't know where to look when they're speaking to you. So
I love that. And that
too much all over the place. So.
So, you know, do you like the whole applying blush? I know we're doing this directly audio without video, but are there any tips on applying powder and blush that kind of just keeps it soft and natural? One of the things that a lot of people, they just haven't really done their makeup. I actually used to do makeup for another service back years ago, and I would ask them questions and be like, okay, so what kind of makeup do you wear? And they're like, I haven't learned anything past age 18, and here they're in their 40s. And so for a lot of people, I've noticed that they don't wear makeup, not because they don't want to, they just have no idea how to.
Right, because things have changed. It's not like back when we were watching our moms get ready and we just slapped a whole bunch of red rouge, as we called it back then, all over our cheeks. That's really not what we do anymore. The way to properly do your blush is to apply it on your cheekbone, up on the cheekbone towards the back, and blend it into your hairline. You don't want any lines that stop blending with your best buddy. There's certain types of brushes that work really, really great for that. And remember, the looser the brush, the looser the look you'll get, and the more condensed the brush, the thicker things will go on. So that works that way for blush brushes. It works that way for eyes, shadow brushes. You know, and just kind of very softly blend it in, you know, along the cheekbone. And then I will take a slightly lighter color and I'll just barely kind of dust it onto the apples of the cheek. Just kind of give yourself a little smile and then sort of blend that all together. But blending is a really huge thing, especially, you know, for your foundations and stuff. You don't want to see that line of demarcation there where it's like you just stopped. So it's best to also blend everything down into the neck as well, so that everything kind of just transitions nicely. Absolutely. That's the biggest thing. And making sure you have foundations that actually match your skin tone. Don't be using things from the summer when you were darker and now you're lighter. And you've got bronzer all over your face. You know, bronzer is not meant to be over the entire face. It's meant to contour certain areas of the face. So it's not a go-to.
I was just thinking about bronzer. Do people
just remember that?
Do people wear bronzer much? I just haven't seen it as much.
Yes, people wear bronzer quite a bit, especially the younger generation.
So I think
lots of that with highlights and contouring and things like that too. So, you know, just it's meant for contour areas. So under the cheekbones, it's meant to like minimize forehead. So into the hairline. But everything you do, you want to make sure you're blending. Blending
is the biggest thing. There's just nothing like when you're going, oh, I just wish I could walk up to her and just go, can we rub your jawline? You know, let's just soften that out a little bit.
I've actually done that to many clients who come through the door. I'm like, okay, I'm sorry, I have to reach out and do this because you know.
I'm here to support you. Yes, totally. Absolutely. Now, is there any kind of makeup for men? I know some men have done concealer and, any extra powder. Is there anything that they should be wearing, or just kind of just really good skin is what it comes down to, taking care and hydrating the skin?
Well, here's the thing. So men, a clear gloss is great just to kind of moisturize the lips. And a tinted moisturizer, like a lightly tinted moisturizer, can really help even out the
bake
skin
and bake
tone for
looking,
men.
yes.
Right. Just a very gentle, something within a shade of your natural skin tone.
That's a great idea. Your men are like, oh, okay, I could do that. Just very light amount though.
Yes, exactly. So for men, there's a tinted moisturizer that I use. It's called Dermaquest. I use a lot of Dermaquest. I've been using that for 10 years. They have a SPF 30 tinted moisturizer, and it comes in several different shades. So that's a really nice one too. So always staying within one shade of your own skin tone and kind of evening that out. It doesn't hurt sometimes, guys, if you very lightly dust some brow powder into your eyebrows. If you want to have that more dramatic look for that. If you're starting to get those little gray hairs there, you can use the powder to kind of mask that a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's nice. It just adds a little more distinguished too, because the hair gets thinning too, and a little bit of the powder kind of
absolutely. And that's a great trick. And also too, for men and women, women who are starting to get a little finer and seeing those gaps in the hairline when they're pulling their ponytail up, a light powder that matches your same hair color makeup, just dusting it into the hairline only, kind of gives that appearance that things are a little bit fuller there. And mind you, I'm saying very lightly. You don't want to over powder that. It's not like the cans of spray on hair and stuff like that. But a light dust to kind of help fill some of those spots works really well.
Yeah, no, that's great. So it builds a little confidence. It's not being deceiving. It's just softening it up. It's just a little extra touch up. No, that's
even true. I have that when I pull my hair back in a ponytail and it gets tight, and there's I can see some of the spots. Well, especially if I haven't touched up my gray roots anytime soon, that you can kind of fake it with a little bit of powder.
A little creative art is always good. That's for sure. Oh, I love it.
I didn't have time to dye my roots today, but there's rescue remedies.
But my hair is clean, and that's what matters, and that is so important. Shade and
run your fingers through it. You're not going to have a gobby mess. And that's another thing too with guys with styling products. Like after you wash your hair and you got this really great, clean smelling, amazing hair, and you're putting your pomade or your styling products in it. Just remember less is more with that too.
Exactly. Oh, there are times that you see someone and you're like, wow, if the wind blew, their hair wouldn't move, and it's not attractive. Get close to the hair.
Back in the day, my dad used to style his hair with Vaseline. So I'm sure you could imagine, like in the 50s.
Absolutely.
I could imagine like all the lint flying around, sticking into his Vaseline and his hair. I can just imagine that. So you don't want that look is out.
It is out. Thank you. Well, no, that is not color. And boy, I remember doing it for a Halloween thing, and it is hard to get Vaseline out of your hair. So the fact that your dad
truly it is.
That is crazy. Well, we're almost out of time. What are some last little tips you want to wrap up with our amazing group? I know our listeners are quickly writing down a gazillion notes and ready to take action. So what do you have for last tips with the men and for the women?
Well, I would just say if any of you have any questions or personal, like you feeling like, hey, I need to come in and have a consultation or something, I do offer complimentary consultations for clients to come in, and I can give you some advice that are based off of you as an individual. So that's one thing that I do want to add. As we've touched on quite a bit of things. So,
absolutely.
There's options out there too for hair removal. Instead of waxing and stuff, you could consider laser hair removal too. In the long run, it actually ends up saving you money. So there's options. There's options for skincare. I do consultations for makeup, for men, for women, image consulting, all of the things that you would need for beauty and grooming tips based off of you and your personal personality, your personal style, and the issues that you have for your skin. So
absolutely.
And
they're so important to really get that fresh look. Like, especially some people, they've been they were in the same relationship for 20 years and they're getting back into dating.
Right.
Coming into you is really
Things
important
have changed.
to get a fresh look, but to also look like you're
Exactly.
dateable. You're not just a mom or a dad. You know, you actually need to get a little spark to your look, and how to make sure you are current and that you are, you know,
yes, that's another thing. You don't want to look dated. You don't want to, you know, come showing up to your date looking tired and grumpy, and, you know, so just taking care of yourself inside and out is very important.
Absolutely. Well, Jamie, you have brought in so many great tips. I'm like, our members are all going to be hitting replay and rewind and redo, because these are so important that people need to know that these are little steps and little routines to weave into getting ready. But being prepared to be successful on your date is huge. But I can tell you, there's a lot of dates that didn't go to date number 2 because the person just looked unkept, and they didn't even care to put a little bit of themselves together. So it's not about being high.
And guys, one last thing. If you're going to wear a nice dress shirt, take the time to press it before you go on your date.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
One last thing.
That is
Nobody
so
wants
huge.
a wrinkly shirt. And women too. Steam clean something if it's prone to wrinkling.
Yes.
Take that extra step to have your date clothes at least pressed and nice and ready to come home from work and change very quickly.
Right.
Exactly.
And also, you know, there's nothing like seeing somebody wear a dress shirt that you can tell just came out of the packaging and still has the square.
Oh yeah, it's very sexy.
It happens all the time. Like, I know it's pressed inside the square, but I can tell that you just pulled the pins out of the packaging and you shipped it and put it on. I mean, you have to prepare to be successful.
Take the extra effort to have it professionally cleaned and pressed.
Exactly. It will actually benefit you. And it's just the neat thing about what you're talking about is these are all things on a daily routine to be in a better spot. As people build on their communication, build on their confidence, you just feel better when you know that your skin's looking good, your hair is good, you're groomed. Then you can, you know, have more focus on the conversation and the flirting and actually getting to know the person than letting the other.
And wear your contact lenses if you need them, and wear your glasses if you need them, because you don't want to be blind on your date either.
Oh my gosh, how many people do that? Like, you know I have a hard time reading the menu, and I've got to hit the flashlight sometime on my phone, but you know what? I have to. So I'd rather get that than order the wrong thing. I know a lot of people that actually order from the waiter and waitress because they actually don't know, they can't read the menu. So it's okay. You need glasses, you need contacts, like just own it.
Wear them. And don't wear contacts if you don't need them. Don't change your eye color with color changing contacts just to impress someone on a date. That's another mistake that I've seen out there. So natural, keep you.
Natural is good.
Whatever you take.
Be you is what I keep hearing you say. And I love that it's just, there's little ways to just kind of enhance you, but still really be you, and knowing that you're going to meet someone you want to keep seeing. So therefore you should, you know, show up with the right eye colors.
Be authentic. Show up with who you are, because we don't want to wake up and we think we're meeting one person, and then at the second or third date, everything about that person is completely different because we forgot to do something that we did the first time. So being yourself is very important.
Absolutely. And I will say, I think almost men more than women notice the woman's eye color. And yes, the right eyeshadow makes it pop, but I hear from men more often, does that girl have green eyes? Does she have brown? You know, there's something about the eye color that people are really drawn to. So learn how to make those, you know, look the same and bring it out. But if you end up bringing and putting fake eye color, you might miss out. That guy might have liked brown eyes and you just went and put blue eyes on. You know, you've got to get people.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you have so much knowledge and so much insight, Jamie, and I love that you're sharing with our group, and I can hardly wait to see what you have for next quarter. So all of this goodness is there, and we will then have it ready for all of our members to get in contact with you at the on our landing page on the video that we'll share later.
Great.
And this is about everybody stepping up and doing the little bit extra. So knowing that you're there for consultation. If they're not local, they could maybe Skype into you or something if they need to get some advice, and then be able to have products sent to them so you can work with people all over the place.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yep, I can do consultation and all that stuff. So.
Awesome. Well, good. Well, we're very excited to learn from you and continue to grow. Thank you so much for your time, Jamie, and we look forward to what you have next time.
Yeah, thanks for having me.